If you were trying to figure out the best time of year to buy a home around Alpharetta, Georgia, or other suburbs in the northern part of the city, this video is for you because we're going to dive into what we see in terms of timing, the trends, and how I would approach that as somebody that sold over 200 homes here and has personally bought my own homes as well. And there's a few tips and tricks on how I like to navigate the year to make sure that you're hopefully competing with the lowest amount of people as possible and getting the best deal you can, because we all know you make the money on your home when you buy. A lot of times that just means buying right and then taking advantage of the opportunity to sell when a market is stronger. Now, before we dive in, I just want to give everyone a heads up. Down below in the description is my Alpharetta guide that is completely for free to download if you're new to the area or just want to get a feel for some of my favorite things. Check that out, and I hope you find it beneficial. Now, as far as what to expect around the timing of the year, especially when this is being recorded, we're heading into January 2025. The thinking was that the spring market actually used to begin right after the Super Bowl in February, so kind of mid-February. Now, that's actually earlier than what a lot of people thought, because most of the time, the spring market is somewhere between March to the end of June, working around the school year. What we've actually seen the past 5 years, especially since COVID, is not only does that really start mid-February, but it's actually started creeping up as early as New Year's. We start seeing right after the holidays, people that either had their homes on the market prior to the holidays and took them off, or some that have just been waiting, they just get those things out there, and January is a big month for new listings. Now, the nice thing about this is, with Alpharetta and Greater Atlanta as a whole being a very transient city, is there's always a level of buyers. And that means if you have a good home that's priced well, or at least within the market and has certain features that people are looking for, you're going to be able to sell it all year round. Now, as far as January goes, the nice thing is you're also competing with less people. So if you're looking to buy, let's say next year, for example, think of going into January and February as an opportunity where you know now that there are more homes that may be available, but fewer buyers that are necessarily in an immediate need to buy at that time. When we start getting into March, that's when most sellers are going to start putting their properties on the market to work around the school year. And that, especially in suburbs that are heavily driven by families or schools, is what we see predominantly, because they're either moving to a different school district or the children have left. Now they're empty nesters and they're taking advantage of the house being empty with them going off to college and looking to sell. Now, this means, as far as timing, we usually have pretty decently cold months for Atlanta's standards up until the end of February or through March. Things get warmed up and then there's one last freeze usually. Now, it's after this second freeze, that's when we usually see things start really blooming, and it's a better opportunity for owners to then take photos and videos of their property. So we have a large influx of new listings at the end of March and throughout April. April is historically when homes sell for the most in Greater Atlanta. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're going to be out house hunting, just know if you're looking between the months of March and the end of June, you are going to be competing with the largest amount of other buyers. So get prepared for potential bidding wars, sending love letters, or potentially reducing some of what you're asking for on contracts or concessions, and know that you may have to fight a little bit harder to get that house. Now, if you can beat the crowd on that, January and February are usually great times. A lot of this is also going to be dependent on the interest rates and fluctuations we're seeing in the market. If it's something where, let's say you're coming from the Northeast, where those school systems actually are a little bit later in the year, the kids actually don't get out of school until the second or third week of June, and they don't start again until Labor Day. So a lot of those families are actually looking to move in July and August. And that is kind of a situation where you are past the prime crowd of the people that already live here or relocating. And the August-July timeframe can be a little bit better than the spring months, just because if there's properties that are still available, you know that they may feel like they missed the boat a little bit and you have a little bit better of an option for negotiating. Or there are other families that are in similar situations like you. They just didn't have the time to get the house prep. They wanted to wait until everything was completely finalized with the kids transferring out, and they throw it on the market in July. So I wouldn't worry a whole lot, especially in those later summer months. months, just knowing that you're still probably going to find decent inventory. When things start getting a little bit different is the mid-August to the end of October area. Now, as a buyer, this is a great opportunity because the homes that are listed this time of year are usually ones that have been on the market during summer and didn't sell. So sellers are panicking that maybe they missed the boat or they turned down an offer that they should have taken, and they may be more willing to negotiate. Also, the properties that start coming up in the late second, third, and fourth quarter of the year, those are people that usually have to sell. Maybe the owners are getting a job transfer. They're not as concerned about the school year, and you are just getting an opportunity to potentially find a better house with less competition. Now, for the fourth quarter, this is where things are a bit unique. The general thinking is that the fourth quarter is our slowest. In reality, it's our second busiest. And a lot of this just has to do with a lot of relocations coming in before the end of the year. Companies start doing their budgets for the next fiscal and calendar years, and we see a bit of hiring and moving spike before the end of December. But sellers don't necessarily think this way. They think that if their home is listed, especially as the holidays approach, that they are in no man's land, that there are no buyers out there, all of a sudden that they have the holidays coming up, they have to pay for presents, or maybe they're doing holiday shopping, taxes are going to be due, they have to factor that in as well. And there's a real sense of urgency for sellers to get their home sold. We also see a lot more aggressive price reductions happen either more frequently or in larger amounts. So as a buyer, if you have the opportunity to buy in the end of the third or fourth quarter, just know that you're probably competing with less people overall compared to the spring. You're going up against properties and owners that are a little bit more nervous about the market and may be more willing to jump at a lower offer or something that's more competitive than it would have been at a different time of the year. Personally, I love the end of September to November timeframe to be able to buy. I think there's great value there depending on what interest rates are doing or if you're paying cash. And it's just a little bit of a psychological game knowing when you have the upper hand compared to when you're going to be competing with other buyers and the psychological aspects that go into it as a seller throughout the year. So I hope you found some of this helpful. Just a quick video update on kind of what to expect going into next year. If you have any questions at all over on the general market or Atlanta or Alpharetta as a whole, I'm happy to answer them. And thanks so much. I'll see you on the next video.